I know that the Trump and Zelensky infamous meeting already not such a hot topic and the hype around it kind of diminished, but I just could not let it pass without my 2 cents. So here I am doing video, despite I was not planning this weekend to record anything, but I just can't be silent about this, because this diplomatic meeting was the worst diplomatic interaction that I ever saw in my life. Honestly, at first I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw for the first time the kind of dynamic that this meeting got, and it basically turned into a hot mess. Something that this kind of behavior you might expect from, well, again, I think I mentioned it before, from teenagers in high school or in the middle school, something like this, but not from the diplomats of the highest level. Not even just diplomats, they are the freaking presidents of their countries. I don't even know who looked worse in this situation. In the heat of the fight, both of them, Zelensky and Trump, and JD Vance, no one looked really, how to say that, respectable politician. But, well, let's dive into this one more time, and I will try to react and comment things that seemed important to me. So, first of all, I want to start by saying that I am not a fan or supporter of any of them, not of Zelensky, not of Trump. The only thing that I am supporting is the Trump's apparent desire to finish the war. In this, I am aligned with Trump's vision, at least from what he's saying. I'm not sure how exactly the actions will be, if he will be consistent with this pronounced desire to stop the killing and stop the fight, but I support him for now in these regards. I think this absolutely horrible war should stop, and as it cannot lead to any positive outcome if it keeps longer. But I am not a fan of Trump politically. I don't support his conservative ideas and things like that. And I am absolutely not a fan of Zelensky in any shape or form. I don't even, right now, I don't even perceive him as a professional politician. I think it's not exactly his place. But I will get in more details about this later. So I want to say that everyone who wants to try to create more or less objective opinion about what happened should watch the whole thing. I think it's around 50 minutes, and it gives you a very good understanding of the context, how this diplomatic disaster started, and maybe it can help you to make your own mind if it was a setup for Zelensky or not. Because I have heard a lot of opinions, well, particularly from supporters of Zelensky, but sometimes even from people who hate him, that indeed this was planned by Trump administration, that they wanted Zelensky to fall into a trap where he would have to behave emotionally, lose his shit, say something ridiculous, or just show himself like not trustworthy and not worthy to do business with, to potentially justify the end of the military aid and things like that. At first, when I just saw this big fight of 10 minutes, I didn't know if it's set up or not, because, well, I could expect anything nowadays. Maybe indeed that was a slight plan of Trump, but I decided to watch the whole thing. And after watching it, I can tell you that I have quite clear opinion that it was not a setup. Because my impression after watching this meeting is that at first it was quite friendly and amicable from the part of Trump. I really saw him as well, absolutely willing to sign a deal, and they explicitly told that yeah, we are about to sign these mineral deals and things like that. But I noticed that Zelensky, almost from the very beginning, maybe already first 10 minutes, you started to notice that he was explicitly uncomfortable with certain comments from Trump and later from Vance. And his body language couldn't hide it. At first it was more just his facial expressions and body language, but then he started to do comments, explicit comments that was openly in disagreement with what Trump administration was saying. And I must admit that Trump surprised me. I saw him first 20-30 minutes really trying to avoid sharp corners of the conversations. I saw him trying not to react to something that Zelensky was saying, and some of the things Zelensky was saying in the meeting were clearly not aligned with what Trump was saying previously. But Trump didn't react, and even sometimes he tried to make things easier by joking, things like that. So honestly, I saw Trump willing to communicate, to negotiate, to sign this deal, but little by little, Zelensky noticeably started to lose control over his emotions because he absolutely didn't like some things that were said there, and at some point his tone and words became confrontational up to the point that was higher than Trump's patience and than J.D. Vance's patience. At that moment, both Vance and Trump also kind of lost control of their emotions and led themselves behavior that you would not call correct diplomatic behavior. But, well, it's just to tell a little bit, explain my impressions of the whole context. And now let's comment the specific things, and of course, we will just check the hotter part of this conversation.
Mr. President?
Sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table.
Okay, so he's saying that the negotiations should be between Ukraine and Russia, first of all, because it's a war between Russia and Ukraine and not between Russia and USA. But of course, I mean, it's would be very detaching from reality to deny the fact that this is a proxy war, and it's only possible for such an extended period of time only because of the huge military and financial aid from United States of America. And even with all of this help, not only from USA but from the global West, still this war cannot lead to the victory of Ukraine and could never lead to the victory of Ukraine just because of the balance of the power between Ukrainians and Russians. So yeah, I mean, of course, you would want to negotiate with Russia on your terms, but as you are totally dependent on the other party, which is mostly USA, you will have to accept the fact that, first of all, the decisions on a global level will be done between Russia and USA or Russia and the West. And you, as a dependable party, will join the negotiations, but when basically things will be more or less decided. It's not because Ukraine is not worthy of the negotiations or anything like that. Of course, in the ideal world, they should be the equal partners. But in the real world, the balance of the power is not into Ukrainian favor. So without West, you're not much of a power. So, like it or not, first the big guys decide things and then you join.
Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us.
Well, all this line that we are defending Europe is a very subjective narrative that during the last 3 years was very heavily promoted by the West, but it's not a fact. Indeed, from the Russian side and from some of the Western parties, they absolutely don't recognize Russia as a threat to Europe, because the thought of a Russian president just going into the war with NATO countries because of his whatever imperial ambitions, that sounds ridiculous for a lot of people, and me including. So selling this kind of BS about that we are defending Europe, well, you might believe in it, then it's not BS for you, but it's not a fact. It's a very, very debatable topic.
And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way, but first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them.
Again, he's trying to keep pushing this ridiculous, from my point of view, narrative about Russia going further automatically and stupidly, but he looks like he didn't calculate that this audience there is not believing these things, not like people in Europe that he's talking to. Although I'm not even sure that all of his European partners really believe this narrative. I am pretty confident that a lot of them are making a view as if they are really believing this stuff, and helping Ukraine just because they want to weaken Russia a little bit more, to kill a little bit more of Russian people and hopefully regime change, without even considering that losses of Ukraine are important. They are ready to sacrifice them for their purposes.
Because they've been in the USSR, you know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact, it's your opinion.
And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Here is where I think he started to make a big mistakes. Basically, he's projecting his view onto Americans and trying to use a fearmongering that was working for, to his opinion, pretty well with Europeans, but it's not going to work with the Trump administration because they are not easily sold this kind of stuff. And I believe that for Trump and for his team, listening this from Zelensky, who has no cards, that their soldiers, American soldiers, will fight and you will see that the war will come to you, so your people will die unless you help us. I'm sure it started to hit their emotions at this point, and well, it's was not a very smart decision to try and to pin your projections onto the Americans, explaining them, basically almost like mansplaining them, that what they will experience, as if you would know better than them. That's what I think especially Trump didn't like, that Zelensky behaved like if he would be in the position to explain this silly, stupid guys from Trump administration that they don't know what a threat Russia is, but it is. So Zelensky, from the position of knowledge, understanding of how the world works, explaining these little naive, stupid guys that you will see, you don't know, but you will see how horrible the situation will develop for your country if you don't help me. That's very arrogant, very arrogant.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. There are a lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No,
and a lot of things have
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us.
Again, he keeps interrupting president, basically contradicting him. No, you're wrong, I'm right, listen to me, you're a victim of Russian propaganda. Is it smart behavior for someone who is looking for the support from your patron? Because let's be clear, you depend on United States? Well, no, that's a rhetorical question.
And I'm in the middle of a mess, because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one.
Yeah, the situation is a mess, and that's absolutely wise words from Trump. Couldn't agree more.
Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country,
Right.
richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America, and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either.
Well, here we saw another, from my point of view, really well thought, really wise reply from President Trump. And the question really was quite naive, and frankly, I consider it stupid. I mean, seriously, I understand you are from Poland. The hatred toward Russia is very strong there due to a lot of cultural, historical reasons, which I'm not going to discuss here. But just thinking, because of your friends and yourself, you liked very much American culture, American movies, and you thought of the United States of America as of the empire of the goodness. That means they don't have to ever talk with other parties that are not particularly of your liking, regardless of the actual power these parties have. I mean, Russia, if you like it or not, is global nuclear power. It has the capacity to destroy the whole world, the same as the United States have, and the China and a few other countries. So, you like it or not, you have to consider the interest of Russia in the situation of military conflict, because the escalation is freaking dangerous for the world. Okay, so the risks are too huge. Even if the risk of nuclear conflict is just 1% or 0.5%, it's not worth to play, to disregard, to disrespect the opponent like that. Even if you absolutely believe and convinced they are pure evil, they all are psychopaths and they just enjoy doing bad things, which is, I think, quite naive view, but whatever. It's just very childish to reject any possibility of negotiations and getting away from the risky world situation just because you think they're bad guys and those are good guys, and we never ever speak with the bad guys because of the principles. Well, guess what? Their principles can cost you life.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Absolutely great words from Vance. I mean, the desire for diplomacy, it's, I think, it should be naturally supported by everyone, because the diplomacy gives you a chance to stop the horrible suffering, the cruelty, preventing people from keeping losing their lives, their health. Natural things to support. But, well, looks like not for Zelensky. Zelensky got really freaked out by this comment of Vance. And even if we put away the morality of whatever, but just you could disregard diplomacy if you would have the means to enforce your vision, to enforce your policy. So if Russia wouldn't have nuclear weapons, if it would have less amount of troops and wouldn't have such a great military capacity, and Ukraine would have all of this, and if Ukraine would be able to enforce their vision of peace, push the Russia away, and maybe even go to Moscow to dismantle the Russian regime, then you can, in this situation, as Ukrainian president, it would make at least some logic to disregard diplomacy, because why would I even have negotiations with Putin if I can just get rid of him, if I can win the war, if I can reestablish my country as a Ukrainian nationalistic state, and maybe even regime change Putin, why would I then have to deal with him? I might not agree with the view of running away of negotiations, but I could understand logically this. But in the situation that Zelensky is right now, disregarding the diplomatic way, despite he's always saying, like, yeah, for diplomacy, but peace through strength, which he explained in some other interviews that the peace should be enforced in Russia, which basically means Russia out of the country, and all of the requests from Ukrainian side should be met. Well, illusions, fantasy. He has no means to enforce his policy. So in this situation, getting freaked out on the talks about diplomacy is delusional, and the worst of all, it's detrimental for your country and for your people. The most important thing.
During 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about?
Okay, so now he's apparently talking about the Minsk agreements that were signed by also Merkel and Macron, and previously I think also by the Francois Hollande, because there was 2 Minsk agreements, and he's explaining how Putin is not trustworthy because he broke these agreements on numerous occasions. So that's why you cannot ever talk to him again, looks like. So yeah, he's mentioning the break on the Russian parts, but he is obviously not speaking about the Ukrainian part, how it didn't keep their end of the deal, which mainly consisted in the recognizing Donbass, their autonomy status inside of Ukraine. So they were still supposed to be Ukraine state, but with their autonomous governments and with official status of Russian language. It was never ever done by Ukraine. Ukraine claims that Russia, well, not Russia, I mean Ukrainian separatists, because this war, it was between, first of all, people of Donbass that were Ukrainians and the eastern central part of Ukraine. So they claim that the separatists, backed up by Russia politically and militarily on the private level, that they didn't keep the ceasefire and they started first. But if you go to the Russian sources, you will read exactly the opposite, that it was the Ukrainian part that was constantly jeopardizing the agreements by making provocations and do these military operations, not stopping the fire, because they didn't want to keep their end of the Minsk agreements. So unless you've really been there, we will never know who started first, but it's clear that both parties was breaking the agreements since the very beginning. And it's very interesting to know that later Zelensky also was mentioning, I think it was in 2021, that people of Ukraine from the Donbass, if they consider themselves Russian, they just can practically get the fuck out of there and go to Russia. And recently, I think it was last year, there appeared the interviews with Merkel, I think, and also with Francois Hollande, who basically openly told that these Minsk agreements, they were designed to give the Ukraine some time to get stronger militarily. They never was aimed to really give the autonomous status to the Donbass. It just was to buy some time. The Western leaders pronounced it this way. And I want you to watch a little bit more on this topic from the political experts from Spain. There's some interesting footage as well.
Vamos a remitirnos a un episodio específico relacionado con esos acuerdos. Uno de los argumentos al que recurre Zelensky en toda esa pelea verbal en el despacho oval fue que Putin violó los acuerdos de Minsk. Se lo dice tal cual a Trump para justificar la necesidad de las garantías de seguridad. Vamos a recordar qué pasó con esos acuerdos, ya que los saca a colación él mismo.
Y para eso es necesario mencionar que Zelensky ganó las elecciones presidenciales en Ucrania con más del 70% de los votos votos porque prometió negociar con Rusia para acabar con el conflicto en el Donbass. Más del 70% de los ucranianos y ucranianas de territorios que en aquel momento controlaba Ucrania. Gente que decidió que era necesario cumplir los acuerdos de Minsk, integrar a Donetsk y Lugansk dentro de Ucrania en calidad de autonomías para acabar con el status quo y con la situación de enfrentamiento bélico que se vivía entonces.
En 2019, en París, se tenía que firmar ese acuerdo de federalización de Ucrania en presencia de Putin, Merkel y Macron, el denominado Cuarteto de Normandía. El acuerdo estaba sobre la mesa y ¿qué pasó? Que se negó a firmarlo. Durante la conferencia de prensa, mientras Putin leía puntos de ese acuerdo sobre el estatus especial del Donbass, sobre la fórmula Steinmeier, Zelensky se reía y hacía muecas. Véanlo.
Минских соглашений 12 февраля 2015 года. Особый статус Донбасса на постоянной основе. Необходимо, конечно, продлить срок действия договора об особом статусе отдельных регионов Донбасса. И в конечном итоге придать этой норме постоянный характер, как это и предусмотрено в Минских соглашениях.
Exactamente de la misma manera que las hizo el fin de semana pasado en el despacho Oval. Muy bien si de lo que se trata es de hacer una interpretación de un personaje de la serie Servidor del Pueblo, pero muy contraproducente si eres el presidente real de un país que está siendo desangrado en una guerra.
Aquellos acuerdos, los acuerdos de Minsk, como sabemos, no los firmó y cuando volvió a Ucrania lo argumentó al unísono con todos los medios ucranianos, de los que el 90%, como sabemos hoy, fueron financiados por la USAID, pues diciendo que los acuerdos de Minsk eran un tumor para Ucrania, que no había que firmarlos nunca, que era una mina debajo del país y que no podían cumplirlos tal y como estaban planteados porque Ucrania tenía que ser un estado unitario y no federativo y la población que se siente rusa pues que se mude a Rusia, igualito que Bezalel Smotrich hablando a los palestinos de Gaza. Entonces, una se pregunta, si a Trump le dice en el despacho Oval el fin de semana pasada que los acuerdos de Minsk los violó Putin, pero está la constancia de aquella reunión en París cuando él mismo se negó a firmarlos, ¿en qué momento miente Zelensky? No hay coherencia ni siquiera en la argumentación. ¿Es una cosa o la otra? ¿O los acuerdos de Minsk los violó Putin o eran malos para Ucrania y por lo tanto no los quería cumplir? Las dos cosas a la vez son difíciles.
So you saw the face of Zelensky, how he was thinking about this, what he was thinking about this Minsk agreement. It was everything on his face. And he was expressing so explicitly such a disrespect and disgust by Putin. I mean, I understand you personally can hate the guy, but if you are a president of the country, you have to deal with him, like it or not. It's someone who can be very dangerous for your country. So keeping this kind of childish teenager behavior, but they're just stupid. It's just risking lives of so many people, which finally turned out to be true and to be a real catastrophe for Ukraine. Hundreds of thousands of people died. Even more families was devastated by the war economically, as well as having their family members injured permanently. And you're just showing these disgraceful faces. I mean, it's okay if it's just a normal conversation behind the closed door with your mates or peers, okay. But that's not how the politics are done on such a high level. It's fucking risky. And well, the reality has confirmed this. A professional politic should never behave like that. That's why I think Zelensky is not at his place. He is actor, maybe a real passionate person, but shitty politician.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
So that's where Zelensky showed his real face. He basically told to JD Vance that, what kind of negotiations are you talking about? Despite previously saying, like, yeah, diplomatic solution, blah, 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 peace through strength, whatever diplomatic, I'm okay with this, as long as it's on my terms. But now he just couldn't hold it and told, what kind of negotiation are you talking about? Explicitly shown that he absolutely has no intention whatsoever to have negotiations with Putin. And Vance answered very sharply, the kind of negotiations that would stop the destruction of your country. Bam! That was a brilliant answer. But then, yeah, also later, Vance didn't keep his correctness for long.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Okay, yeah, so the manpower problem and them forcing conscripts into the war, into their deaths, it's absolutely valid point. First time I hear this from the politician of such a high level, from the West, openly talking about this, because in Europe it's kind of very shameful topic. Leaders try not to mention, like it's not existing, while it's a very big deal in Ukraine. If you want, you can watch one of my videos about this. But I'm telling you, this is massive there. People forcefully captured from the streets. Some of them are shouting and screaming in fear, and they are sent to get very, very detrimental, not sufficient preparation, and like go fight. And if you survive or not, well, depends on luck. But then Vance also think that it's where I think he started to lose this political correctness, saying that you never told thank you even. I think it was already kind of emotional response, because he was probably shocked by the kind of behavior, arrogance and disrespectful from his point of view behavior of Zelensky. So he started to use this kind of tactics like some parents are using, like, you are not thankful, brat, I'm doing so much for you and you're not even saying thank you, things like that. That was unnecessary. So if you would want to keep your face and look better, that was unnecessary thing to mention. But well, things started to get real hot from there.
Ukraine, did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
Yeah, in this moment you see that Zelensky really got so angry, so pissed off. You can see how he don't want to hold him and want to say more bad things to Vance, because, well, he even told, right now he told, that's what you hear, but it's the first letters of the word bitch, suka. It's supposed to be. Some people say that it was nothing, but knowing, as a Russian myself, knowing what we say and how it sounds, it really sounded like Zelensky couldn't just hold it and told like suka. Блять, I didn't hear. Like, there are some media saying that he told suka блять. I heard suka. You can only perceive it by how his lips were moving, but it was not really audible. But suka was there. Блять, I think not. And still, it's just showing that emotions was so high, and he couldn't keep himself in the respectful line and understanding the disposition of the power of this meeting. Also, Zelensky are telling Vance that, have you been there? By saying this, what he's doing is basically implying that Vance doesn't know what he's talking about. do you think this is a great way to talk with your main ally on whom you depend? Implying that he knows shit? Implying that he's lying? Yeah, that is disrespectful, and also is showing that you really don't understand how the diplomacy is working, and probably you're just reckless and stupid.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Again, first of all, he's saying like, well, everyone during the war has problems, meaning that forcing people into the front line despite they absolutely don't want that, it's kind of normality, it's just a little problem, it's okay, justifying it? Freaking bullshit. And then again, trying to mansplain these guys about, yeah, beautiful ocean, but you know, you will have problem with him in the future. I promise you. You will have this problem. It sounds almost like a threat. And again, trying to show them and teach them that he knows better how the things will go in the future with Putin. Very, very reckless and arrogant behavior.
God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have the war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
Me?
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country,
I'm
that's
with all
backed
respect to
you
your
far
answer.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Okay, so here where Trump as well lost his temper. Because this kind of threats by Zelensky and trying to fearmonger USA from implying that his perspective, his vision is much more clear than what USA president has, the vision about the global politics and risks and threats. That's what freaked out Trump ultimately, and he couldn't hold his emotions. He started to also speak in a kind of rude way, disrespectful tone, high tone, I'm not sure, it depends on the interpretation. Someone could say it's justified, someone not, but I think it was this moment when Trump started to realize he's not going to sign any kind of deal with this guy, because this guy really angered him. And he's saying absolutely correct things, that you're playing with World War III, why are you doing this? And Zelensky, right now, if you are on his place and you notice, oh shit, I think I fucked up. I think these people are angry, I think I'm about to lose the mineral deal. I probably should just shut up, because I need these people. I maybe don't like them. I loved Biden, but I don't like these people. But I should shut up, because I depend on them. Not kind of thinking process that Zelensky had. He kept, instead of shutting up, he kept disrupting, commenting, and being very disrespectful and antagonistic to what Trump's saying.
You said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly.
Oh my god, this comment about speaking loudly. why? I mean, if you want to annoy someone, if it's your buddy, friend, or someone you know, when you are arguing, you are in a quarrel, you can say things like that, like, oh, why are you having this high tone? Why are you speaking loud? Do you think it will help you? Yes, it's a good strategy to annoy the fuck out of this person. And it's okay if it's meeting among buddies, but are you sure that is a great strategy to use on the meeting between presidents?
Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and your
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
He's keeping fucking up so hard, so badly. I can't watch this. I mean, seriously. Keep on behaving in such a openly disrespectful manner. Yes, Trump right now also being not politically correct. I absolutely can see this. But, well, considering your position, why in the earth you would try to mimic president and put his words in, not even in the doubt. You basically, by saying this, like, oh yeah, in 2 weeks, no, in 3 days, I heard this from Putin. First of all, it was not Putin who told about 3 days, it was the Western military expert who told this kind of stuff. But implying that Trump right now is lying, that he has no idea of what's going on, ridiculizing him, because this comment of, oh yeah, in 3 days, it's ridiculizing what Trump just said. And okay, I understand you might hate the guy, you might hate Trump, but politically, it's absolutely stupid from where you stand to ridiculize him, because it's the person, unfortunately for you, on whom you depend almost completely. The success of, success of your country, we're not talking about success right now, it will be ugly anyway, but at least to preserve something. And you just keep fucking it up because of emotions, because your rationality is not dominating this situation, and you have no professional quality of diplomat, which consists in shoving your emotions deep down during the important negotiations on which the war, peace depends, and try to use maximum cold thinking, being rational, calculating, and thinking what is best for your country. Now, that's not about Zelensky. He's not a politician. He should have never been a politician.
Say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
Thankful.
You're buried there. You're people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what,
that
what
wasn't with me.
It
that was with
with
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person.
That was with Obama. President. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Okay, I think we can stop here with the video because it's just turned into a complete disaster from all of the sides. No one is looking really intelligent, really rational right now. Everyone is super emotional and it's just a clear fight. Also, I'm curious why Zelensky is keeping bringing this. He mentioned several times Biden, he was your president, he was your president. This is a smart thing to say in front of Trump. Why? What purpose you were trying to reach with this? Well, I mean, the rhetorical question, nothing. It's just the heat of the fight and a big fuck up diplomatic one. I don't think that Trump looked all the time really well. I think his tone was also disrespectful, and him starting mimicking Zelensky was also disrespectful. But at this point, who cares? And anyway, Trump is the one who has the resources, so like it or not, he can permit himself to be a dick because, well, he has power. And Zelensky cannot permit himself to be a dick to USA, to the Trump's administration. But he is doing this anyway. So, to conclude this video, why do I think that this horrible diplomatic disaster happened? I think mostly it's because Zelensky really got used to only a certain type of interaction between him and the Western leaders during the last 3 or even more years. It was always the same. Whoever he spoke to from Western leaders like Joe Biden and Emmanuel Macron and other presidents and prime minister from Western countries, he always heard the same. He was hearing, we support you unconditionally, no matter what. We will be keeping on sending you weapons. We will be keeping supporting you financially, as long as it takes. As long as it takes. Be calm. You have our back all the time. And now he comes to a president from the West, which in his scheme, very rigid mental scheme, any Western leader should be automatically support Ukraine unconditionally. That is his mental scheme he cannot see changed. But the reality is not congruent with what you have in your mind. You see Western leaders who are not supporting you unconditionally, who is not ready to keep on sending you all of the weapons that you asking, well, except nuclear weapons, as long as it takes forever and ever during 10 years or whatever. He's ready to show you support in exchange of a lot of things from you, financial, like these mineral deals, and also if you are going to behave in a certain way that Trump wants. If you will start really talking to Putin and if you will start showing the openness to sacrifice some of your interests. You will have to admit the ground reality and probably sacrifice territories. Inevitable, because that's the reality. If you don't agree on that, well, Russia will take more to ensure their security from their point of view, even if you disagree with their way of thinking. It's how they think. So he saw this absolutely different way of talking to him and different understanding of the situation and of the future from a Western leader, and he just couldn't handle it. He was not ready. He didn't know what to say. He was going on with the same narrative that he learned during these 3 years of war, and he was not even understanding what's going on, looks like. So he was thinking that it would be obvious if he would explain how Ukrainian people are suffering, that Putin is evil, that he will persuade in all of these things that Trump and his administration, and that if he will say that if we don't win this war, if we don't protect Europe, then you will suffer also, your people will be dying. He thought that it's natural, it would be natural that Trump would listen to him and be like, oh yeah, indeed, yeah, you're right, oh my God, I'm in danger, my country is in danger if I don't keep on with the support. Probably Zelensky expected something like this, it did not happen, and basically he fucked up. He couldn't handle his emotions, he started this confrontational way of speaking, and then the tension rised up to the point that it was just a horrible mess. Anyway, so we will see how the things will go. I really hope the war would end, although I have my doubts. And well, I will be coming back from time to time with this topic to comment on what's going on. And I'll see you in the next video, guys.